ever lain flat on your back in the dead of night, staring at a ceiling so dark it feels like you're looking into the bottom of the ocean? And in that silence, that suffocating, bone-deep silence, one truth crashes into you like cold water. Nobody is coming, not for you, not tonight, not ever. The messages you typed out with shaking hands disappeared into empty air. The people who swore they'd always be there? Gone, dissolved into the distance like fog at sunrise. The warmth you once felt in someone's hands is now just a faint memory that keeps you awake when everything else has gone quiet. That feeling, that specific soul-hollowing feeling, is what it means to be left standing on the shore while the last boat disappears over the horizon. So tell me honestly, how many times have you been there? How many times have you curled in on yourself in the dark, asking the same poisonous question, why me? And then one day, not gradually, not softly, the answer hits you like a fist between the eyes. Strength is not built on comfort. It is carved in the dark. It is hammered out in sleepless nights. It is tempered in broken promises and cold mornings, when no one says your name, but you drag yourself upright anyway. You get dressed anyway. You keep moving, not because it's easy, but because somewhere deep inside you something refuses to stop. Look at the soldier who comes home from war. His body carries the record of every battle he survived. But his eyes no longer know what fear looks like. Look at the entrepreneur who has failed not once, not twice, but 3 times. Every time his world collapsed into rubble, he got back down on his knees and rebuilt it. Not with borrowed hands, but with his own, sometimes sleeping on the floor of an empty workshop, just so the dream wouldn't die from neglect. Look at the champion who was abandoned. When he refused to be a hollow copy of the crowd, they didn't applaud him. They threw stones. But he stepped back into the arena anyway, not crawling, not apologizing, standing upright, head raised, and he crowned himself with the one thing no one could take from him: the decision of who he would become. Here's what they all had in common. No one lowered a rope. They drove in the first rungs themselves, inch by inch, in the dark. And in that moment, that exact moment, they stopped being someone life happened to and became someone who decided what happened next. Do you want the soft version of this story or the real one? The world does not part for the polite. The world does not reward the patient. The world only gets out of the way of the person it simply cannot break. As for fairness, fairness is a bedtime story told to keep you calm. If you're still reading this, it means you're tough enough to hear the truth without needing it wrapped in something sweet. So do this one thing right now. Type 6 words. Say them out loud if you have to. No rescue, I sign my own order. Don't slide past that. Say it again, because in this moment, you are signing the document that saves your own life. This is not motivation. This is not a pump-up speech that fades by Tuesday. This is a vow, a contract written in the ink of every hard night you've already survived. From this sentence forward, you stop waiting for someone else to flip your switch. You grab the lever yourself. And when the light finally turns on, you'll realize there was never any miracle. Just a human being who finally decided to stand in their own corner. Discipline. The key that opens every lock. Most people think they understand what freedom means. They imagine it looks like sleeping in, skipping the hard things when the mood isn't right, saying yes to every impulse and no to every demand. It sounds good, doesn't it? But that isn't freedom. That's a golden cage built out of your own cravings. Muhammad Ali admitted something that stunned people when they first heard it. He said he hated every single minute of training. Every rep, every round, every morning when his body screamed at him to stop. But he made himself a quiet promise every day: suffer now, live as a champion later. He didn't wait for inspiration to show up at his doorstep. He kicked the door down with discipline every single morning until his name became permanent in the record books of human history. And Elon Musk, when Tesla was days away from financial collapse, when the dream was flickering like a candle in a hurricane, he didn't look for shortcuts or spin a story to the press. He moved his life into the factory, working nearly 20 hours a day. Not because he enjoyed suffering, but because he understood that discipline is the last rope you can grip when everything else is freefall. Here is what discipline actually is. It is the unsigned contract you renew with yourself every single morning. It says, even if I'm exhausted, even if I'm grieving, even if the whole world has gone cold, I will still show up. The people who run on motivation alone will always be slaves to their own emotions, spinning in circles whenever the feeling fades. But the people who operate on discipline, they steer. Ask yourself honestly, how many hours, how many months, how many years have you paid as the tax for a life without it? Small actions taken consistently, rising on time, reading 10 pages, doing the hardest task first, these are the first bricks of real freedom. Not the illusion of freedom that comes from avoiding discomfort. The earned freedom that comes from proving to yourself again and again that you can command who you are even in your weakest moments. Write this down. Burn it in. Discipline unlocks my freedom. This is not a quote for your phone wallpaper. This is a death sentence for procrastination. Say it like you mean it, because the moment it becomes real to you, you cross a line you cannot uncross. Focus, the laser versus the scattered light. Here's a truth most people never confront. They don't fail because they aren't smart enough. They fail because they spread themselves so thin across so many directions that no single direction ever gets enough of them to become anything real. When Steve Jobs returned to a struggling Apple, he walked into a company producing dozens of products in every conceivable direction. None of them were changing the world. He picked up a marker, drew a cross on the whiteboard, and eliminated almost everything. What remained? 4 things, just 4. And from that brutal act of subtraction came the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone, products that literally rewired how the human race lives. Ali didn't try to become every type of fighter. He studied himself, identified his gifts, speed, footwork, evasion, and poured everything into sharpening those specific edges until they became supernatural. He didn't need to be complete. He just needed to be unstoppable in his lane. Now think about your own day. How many open tabs? How many half-read articles? Unanswered messages? Abandoned projects? Every time your attention fragments, you're not just losing time. You're stealing from yourself. You are looting your own future. Ordinary light spreads across a room. Focused light, concentrated into a single point, can cut through steel. The same energy, 2 completely different outcomes. Build a wall around your attention. Create an inner fortress so solid that noise, gossip, opinions, and distractions cannot get through. Tomorrow morning, write down 3 tasks, just 3, and swear on your ambition that nothing else gets touched until those 3 are done. No phone, no emails, no checking what everyone else is up to. One day of genuine, unbroken focus will show you something extraordinary. How much of your life was being quietly stolen from you? Write this truth where you'll see it. Focus is my fortress. Consistency, the drop that carves the mountain. A sword sharpened to perfection and then left in the rain becomes useless. It is the blade used every day, cleaned, maintained, never neglected, that becomes something fearsome. Thomas Edison tried and failed more than 1,000 times before electricity obeyed him. People watching from the outside called him delusional. He replied with perfect calm. He hadn't failed 1,000 times. He had discovered 1,000 ways that didn't work. And because of that consistency, because he never once stopped, he pulled the whole world out of darkness. Cristiano Ronaldo was not born a legend. He was a skinny, anxious boy from a small island. What made him what he is? Years, decades, of staying in the gym after every other player had gone home. Extra touches on the ball, extra hours in the dark, 1,000 quiet days that the cameras never filmed and that nobody applauded, but that built something the world now cannot ignore. How many times have you started a new habit with fire in your chest, only to let it go cold within weeks? How many Monday mornings have you declared a new beginning, only to find yourself back at the starting line when the weekend came? Nobody fails because of one bad day. People fail because they don't choose to stand back up the next morning. That is the only difference. A single drop of water on stone does nothing. But millions of drops, patient, relentless, unapologetic, carve through mountains. Choose one small action, read 10 pages, move your body for 20 minutes, fill a page in your journal, then do it again tomorrow, and the day after. 30 days without stopping. It doesn't have to be flawless, it just cannot stop. Consistency makes me unstoppable. Carve that into yourself, because when you live this way, failure loses its power over you. One hard day cannot erase a mountain of quiet, consistent effort. Resilience, rising with stronger bones. Life will hit you when you are doing everything right. Plans will collapse. People you trusted will disappear. Doors you were certain would open will slam shut without explanation. And you will look in the mirror and ask, do I still have anything left? Napoleon Bonaparte was defeated, humiliated, and exiled to an island. The world considered him finished. He came back. He raised a new army. He made continents tremble. J.K. Rowling was a single mother on government assistance, writing in coffee shops between childcare, collecting rejection letters from publishers who didn't see it. She kept writing, and then Harry Potter existed, and then it changed everything. What they shared was not an absence of pain. It was the decision to use pain as raw material. Resilience isn't just getting back up. It's getting back up different, harder in the right places, sharper in the places that matter, with scars that have become armor instead of wounds. Every time something falls apart, sit down with a notebook and write 2 sentences. What did I just learn? And what will I do differently? This is the alchemy that turns setbacks into strategy. I rise after every storm. Solitude, the forge of the soul. Most people are terrified of silence. They fill every quiet moment with noise, scrolling, music, chatter, because sitting alone with themselves feels like standing at the edge of something dangerous. Nietzsche retreated into the Swiss mountains and lived in brutal solitude. From that silence came philosophy that shook the foundations of modern thought. Steve Wozniak, the man whose mind built the first Apple computer, once said that every extraordinary thing he ever created happened when he was completely alone. One person, one idea, no crowd, no noise. Solitude is not loneliness. Solitude is where you strip away the performance and meet yourself honestly. The cracks and the light both. It is where willpower is sharpened and vision becomes clear. Ask yourself, can you sit alone, without your phone, without music, without filling the space, and just be with your own thoughts? If that idea makes you uncomfortable, that discomfort is exactly what you need to face. Spend 1 hour every day in complete silence. A notebook, your thoughts, nothing else. You will be stunned by what surfaces, ideas, desires, and truths you have been burying under noise for years. Solitude is my forge. The body, your most visible weapon. A brilliant mind imprisoned in a body that's been neglected is like a great general who cannot lift his own sword. Willpower that lives only in your head will always be limited by the body that carries it. David Goggins weighed over 300 pounds. He was drowning in insecurity. He made a decision, not a wish, a decision. And he turned his body into a declaration. Navy SEAL, ultramarathon runner, world record holder. He said when his body begged him to quit, he knew he had only used 40% of what he actually had. Train every day. It doesn't have to be extreme. 30 minutes of movement, done consistently, transforms you from the outside in. Eat like you respect your body. Sleep like your performance depends on it, because it does. Every drop of sweat is a deposit into your future. Every workout you don't feel like doing, but do anyway, is proof, undeniable, physical proof, that you control yourself. My body is my weapon. Legacy, what remains when you are gone. Alexander the Great died at 32. His name has survived 2,000 years. The question you will eventually face, when it is too late to change the answer, is not how long did I live? It is what did I leave behind? Legacy is not always monuments or millions. Sometimes it is a father who taught his son what discipline looks like. A teacher who lit a fire in someone who had almost given up. A leader who made the people around them believe they were capable of more than they imagined. But to build anything that outlasts you, you need to master the one resource nobody can replace: time. Every morning you lose to aimless scrolling. Every "I'll start tomorrow" that becomes a year of sameness. Every hour spent on things that drain rather than build. These are not small losses. They are pieces of your life, gone permanently. Divide your day with intention. Morning for building yourself. Movement, learning, writing. Afternoon for meaningful work. Evening for the people and the creation that matter. Remove one meaningless habit every single day until your hours are filled only with what builds the version of you that will still matter when you are gone. I build what outlives me. I command my time. I command my life. Brotherhood. No empire is built alone. Solitude sharpens you, but alongside the right people you become something greater than yourself. Roman legions understood this with their lives. A single soldier, no matter how ferocious, could fall. But a formation, shields locked, purpose unified, became something that could not be broken by anything the ancient world threw at it. The Navy SEALs do not choose teammates for raw strength. They choose people who will never abandon a brother in the dark. Look at the 5 people nearest you. Do they push you higher or drag you lower? Are they building something or just explaining why things can't be built? You will inevitably become the average of what surrounds you. Choose what surrounds you with your life. Find the one person who will pull you back from the edge when quitting sounds reasonable. Be that person for someone else. Iron sharpens iron, and you cannot sharpen yourself alone. I walk with strength. I rise with strength. Untouchable. The final threshold, untouchable, doesn't mean you feel no pain. It means pain cannot write your story. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years behind bars. He walked out unbroken. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school team. He went home and made that humiliation into rocket fuel. Every night, look yourself in the eyes and ask, where did I defeat myself today? Identify the fear you've been avoiding and walk toward it until it becomes small. When you enter a room, move like you know where you are. Back straight, eyes steady. Let your presence land before your words do. Picture yourself in the middle of chaos, everything collapsing, everyone panicking, and you still standing, unmoved, unshaken, eyes clear. That is not a fantasy. That is a destination. I am untouchable. Not as a boast, as a vow. Because the moment you believe it completely, something real shifts. Fear contracts, obstacles rearrange themselves. The world adjusts to accommodate a person who simply cannot be defeated. This is not the finish line. This is the starting gun. From this moment, every choice you make, every hour you spend, every action you take, all of it becomes a brick in the fortress of who you are becoming. The only question left is a simple one. How much longer are you going to wait? I am untouchable.